So for more on this, Rashid Kaukab is a trade and sustainable development specialist and professor at the International Institute in Geneva. Thank you so much for your time, sir. So is this forced labor probe actually about human rights, or is the White House just using it as a legal backdoor to rebuild the global tariff wall that the Supreme Court knocked down in February?
The short answer is that this is the latter and not the former, what you said. It is certainly not any moral action. The US has been trying since this new administration came into power, since last year, using tariffs as a strategic tool in its arsenal. And that started with last April tariffs. And there have been many variations. Sometimes it is difficult to keep track of what is going on the US side. But as you said, when the Supreme Court determined that the president could not have used the International Emergency Economic Powers Act for these sweeping tariffs, then immediately there was a stop under Trade Expansion Act 122 section. But in that section, the maximum time is 150 days, which is going to expire in July. And in the meanwhile, of course, the USTR had started another law, which is Section 301. And the result of one is what you just announced, that 10% at 12.5% tariffs on a number of trading partners, which was announced today. So this is part of the same. The US has been using tariffs very aggressively to achieve its objectives. What are those objectives? That is, I don't think was always.
Yeah, hard to keep track, as you mentioned earlier, is definitely the theme of this Trump presidency. And many Americans want to know at this point in time, how much is this moral trade policy, so to speak, going to cost the average US household in higher prices at a time when, of course, they already grapple with higher energy prices sparked by the Iran war, you think?
Yeah, it is definitely costing the US consumers. And there are estimates and studies, of course, we have to keep in mind because of all the uncertainty and changes. Because, yes, going back to the section, another investigation which the USTR is doing against almost about structural overcapacity. And again, EU, China, and all these countries are also being investigated. So I would not be surprised if some further tariffs on these economies. So given all these, and also sometimes the US withdraws, like 2 days ago, the US administration announced a certain reduction in certain imports, which they needed. So I'm just giving you this picture to find a stability in all this scenario. But the estimates that the reputable think tanks have estimated the cost to US consumer this year, depending on these various ups and downs, would vary between $750 to $1,500 to $2,000 per household, which, let me say, the household is quite a substantial amount.
That's Rashid Kaukab at the International Institute. Professor, really great getting your perspective. Thank you.